for one thing. It's not often, like I said, that we get a team whose name is a sentence. That's new, that's novel, I like it. At any rate though, they are now Monster Shield Korea. They're going to take it up the blue side. I mean, not really. It's a phrase.
Like a statement.
It's a statement. It's a phrase. I don't know. It doesn't, because it doesn't have a subject. We love gaming. There's a subject. We, you know, there is something that loves the gaming. In this case, it's just a noun, just Monster Shield.
Love gaming Korea.
+3 to arm class.
Anyway.
Monster Shield. Maybe it's a shield that is also a monster. It's like a shield that turns into a werewolf. It's a were shield.
In Korea.
And I don't just mean that it's a shield that you wear. Anyway, though, out the gate. This is interesting. This is a Pharah coming out of Monster Shield.
EXL have been outcomped already.
Yeah, that's a little bit rough. This is a great counter to Goats, and it's a great read. If EXL can react quickly enough after this fight, which I do expect to go the way of Monster Shield, then that Pharah does get limited by the lack of verticality here on Control Center. But actually, this Goats comp is beating back the tide. It's not even going to be an adaptation they make later. Good trade back on Victorious, but taking the Pharah and the Junkrat out is all EXL actually need to stabilize here. They're going to be the ones to cap the point.
And that's the thing, because if they killed anyone else, if they didn't get crazy or perfect, they got the tanks or maybe the healers here, you'd expect either Junkrat or the Pharah to be able to clutch on out. EXL now having capped this one through. Monster Shield didn't want to quite give it up too easily, but now unfortunately they have to.
I love the pressure there. The res came in on crazy and EXL went, okay, we're not out of the woods yet. Committed an Earth Shatter. It didn't connect, but it forced Monster Shield back, and Monster Shield is still recovering. They're only just starting to beat back onto EXL now, pushing in towards the point. Transcendence has just run out, but they've got Crazy established in a point where he can just rain fire on these tanks. Nice shutdown by Yom1, and that raining fire on the tanks, it is doing work, but it's taking a while, already pushing up to 40% in what is really a disadvantageous position compositionally. Monster Shield using up everything they have got to cap this point, to wrest control away from EXL. They will finally get it, but I'm expecting an adaptation from EXL.
But it feels like a little bit of an inevitability from Monster Shield, right? Again, they're running this AoE composition. They're running the poke. They get the phalanx out. They have shields in the front, DPS into the back line, big AoE DPSs. EXL don't quite have that, so if Monster Shield take a slow approach, push forward with their poke damage, eventually EXL will buckle, and that's exactly what happened.
They're going straight back in, not making a compositional change up, and it's because they've got ults that they want to get mileage out of. Nice place on the grab onto those two supports. Counter one does come in, picks up Melon, but that's all they're going to get for their hard work. EXL still unfavored compositionally, but really making this work. And when you consider the first unfavored fight netted them 50% of the point, this could be them pushing it to 99.
But what we are seeing out of EXL, right, and this is to their credit, is because they are aggressing so quickly, because they are finding picks, finding engagements, they're not playing slow. To be a good Goats composition team, you have to engage fast, you have to find targets fast. Graviton Search caught both DP, or rather both supports there. It's exactly what you want to see out of EXL, but now expecting similar things out of Monster Shield. Play slow, wait for the poke, and then you win.
Look at Gabushi, he's keeping tabs on Crazy, ready for that Rocket Barrage, which not quite going to come down to follow up the Earth Shatter. Medic was still up, was able to pop the sound barrier, trading now Victorious for Crazy. Gabushi going down though, that's a big twist, and Melon goes wide on the Earth Shatter. Monster Shield getting the upper hand, doing what this comp does against Goats, but like I said, EXL have pushed it to 99 anyway.
EXL got to push harder because defensively they need to start the fight with Monster Shield. Otherwise, the win condition from the poke comp comes out. The Junkrat, the Fire, they do too much damage, and you see the war of attrition here. You simply get chunked down. Your EXL, you need to get onto that backline. You cannot sit and wait.
And unlike last time when they came back in on the point, EXL don't have ultimates for this one. Oh, trading 1 for 1, but that's the key thing. Victorious actually picked engage on, yeah, and that grab is nearly up from Yom1. They can still do this. Losing Melon though, that's a big blow. They're having to use that Coalescence just to last out Beppo's Transcendence. EXL, they know that they're not going to get it off this push. They're going to come back in later to get more mileage out of that grab, but AshVK does have one to match.
The last time we saw EXL get a good fight win was Yom1 getting their flank around the side, catching both Lee Jae-gon and Beppo, nailing down both supports. Can he find the same impact again? He has to have such a great angle to make this work on the other side as well. You mentioned this, AshVK gonna look to do the same thing.
It's all about the angle, who gets what, who catches who. It's going to be the whole team getting caught up in Yeon-Won's grab. The counter one not getting the same mileage. EXL, they're starting to pick these members apart. Lee J
This is the last fight.
Yeah, can't get close enough for a res. They just trained down on him. EXL targeted him, took him out. Crazy last hurrah, but it's not enough despite the barrage and despite that concussive blast. EXL take the first one.
What a crazy series of events, and I want to say it kind of happened off the back of that initial fight win from EXL. When you look at how the points were changing hands, when EXL, Monster Shield, back to EXL, back to Monster Shield, and then EXL finished it off and finished that map. But had it gone the other way around, you got to consider, what if it was Monster Shield winning the first fight, they get the 3 fight wins, EXL only get the 2. It's the complete opposite, but it's just so even. That's the thing.
Yeah, and the reality is EXL, they knew the strengths and weaknesses of their team composition, read Monster Shield's composition instantly, and reacted. The timings on that was so quick, so tight, and that's why they were able to do that. Now running almost the same thing. Let's see if they can do it again.
It's very similar, right? Because Crazy is back onto the Pharah, and it's going to be EXL mostly playing the GOATs, except for Yeon-Won onto the Tracer. They're going to go straight for this point in Monster Shield once again. Got to look for the poke damage. They got themselves a Widowmaker. They're going to slow siege this one, and that's how they're going to try and win.
It is, but once again, they fall prey to the similar limitation of Control Center, and that is that the Pharah is limited in the verticality here. They can barrage in, they can keep firing rockets.
No one can challenge them.
Keep trying to get the spam damage, exactly. No one can challenge Crazy, but they can challenge everyone else, and EXL know it. That's the game plan here. In fact, they're even able to pick Crazy directly, and this is, again, such great reading from EXL, recognizing not only their own strengths, but also their opponent's win condition and shutting it down.
Well, I will say, disclaimer, no one can challenge him as long as he stays.
Yeah.
If he wants to drop down from the air, I'm sorry.
Anyone's game.
That's not my problem anymore. That's all onto him.
Hey, if that's what you want to do.
And Crazy is now going to swap onto the Brigida. Perfect, his teammate coming back onto the Pharah. They know the Pharah is good. They just need to execute.
And again, EXL, unbridled aggression. They understand that their best bet at winning here is to be the aggressor, to shut down their opponent's win condition preemptively. Charge in while their opponent is moving towards the point. Don't let them spam you out. Take them on head first.
This is the strength of pseudo GOATs, which is what EXL are running right here. And the thing that Monster Shield are doing well here is they've managed to get Perfect out of that choke point, so Perfect can now rain damage from a different angle, allowing the rest of Monster Shield to actually come out of that spawn section and actually reach the point.
Rally out from Victorious gives them some chunky health bars, and they're coming up on a grab as well, so Monster Shield had their work cut out. Nice barrage though on top of the Earth Shatter that got just enough members, plus the follow-up from ENEV as Monster Shield get in the thick of it. And now they're doing exactly what EXL have been doing with a very similar kind of team comp here. They recognize that their best bet is to be aggressive and to shut down their opponent's win condition preemptively.
We'll have to see here how quickly EXL can reset, because if they take too long, the spawn hold here from Monster Shield should be much more dangerous. You have AoE damage coming down from the sky. Again, no one can realistically challenge Perfect here. So if Monster Shield decide to hold this early choke, the splash damage AoE coming out from Perfect will be too much to handle.
This is a good change from EXL. They are all just going to get stuck in this grab from AshVK, but that's off the table now. EXL come in a little bit better for the wear for this next fight, and because Yeon-Won had been on the Tracer, he can swap to the McCree here to try and challenge Perfect directly without EXL having to change things up too much.
I do have a big but for this though, and that big but comes out of the fact that Yeon-Won needs to get a sight line on Perfect, and currently if he's stuck in here, if he's stuck in base, he can't do that.
And he is stuck in base. The rest of his team has made it to the point now. They're trying to bait Perfect in so that Yeon-Won gets a wraparound on him, but he's struggling to get that angle. Meanwhile, the two teams brawling on the point.
No
nice
kill.
flashbang, but no kill to finish it off. Now Yeon-Won finally joining the team, but the team is getting battered and bruised. Gets Perfect though, and that completely changes the tune of this. Off that Melanin Gable sheet, the pressure is removed.
Rally
they
to me.
get topped off. Rally indeed out of Victorious as they start destroying the tanks of Monster shield. That was so crucial from Yom1. 2 seconds later, 1 rocket later, Melon and Gable She would be dead. That fight would have been lost.
And it looked like such a bad start, right? Transcendence was already out. Waits for the Transcendence to finish. Throws a flashbang. Doesn't really get the kill off it. In fact, just straight up does not get the kill off it. But then finds a crazy flank.
Beautiful.
Gets the kill into Perfect, who himself now has decided to change onto the McCree. Anything you can do, I can do better.
And good heavens, would you look at the time. Grab out plus the Deadeye. The shield blocks a chunk of it, but it's too late. The damage is done. And with that, EXL now at their 99, numbers way in their favor. A masterclass of goats, and as you called it, pseudo-goats. EXL going to destroy the monster shield that's going to have to be sent back to the Forge now. Picking up Lijiang Tower.
And with that, no one in Group A, in fact, I don't think anyone in Contenders Pacific now realistically can have a perfect 20-0 season.
It's over.
Even teams that currently have 4-0s, those are teams like Monster Shield who have now lost a map. You have Blank who have got a 4-0 tonight, but they've already dropped the match to CAG, so no one's kind of in the running back for that. So everything is kind of up in the air, and
it's not going to be us.
In a way, glad that's happening. This has been a really spicy Lijiang Tower, so action-packed, points changing hands constantly. We were saying, or at least I was saying, Monster Shield kind of come in with a bit of an edge. EXL prove otherwise.
And I feel like what that is EXL utilizing the strength of that roster, like we were talking about. This is the DPS setup they run when they want to play these GOATS-esque team compositions, and they obviously had this as a plan. They went, this is what we're going to do for map 1. What I now want to see is what they do when they're not on control, because you can't really run this on, payload-oriented maps in the same kind of way. They're going to do something different. The question is now, will it be as effective as that? If the answer is yes, they 4-0. If the answer is no, I think we go a full 5.
I think we have the full potential to see, especially if you are Monster Shield now, you have map pick priority. You get to choose where we go to. Kings Row, I would suspect, is not the map you want to go to. Otherwise, you sort of enable more of these big tank compositions. Maybe Goats comes back out. Maybe you go to Icon World here. That's going to open up more options for your DPS players in terms of, look, the Fire play was decent. We know Genji is good on their side as well. We know EXL can kind of match that if they have the right players in for the right map. If you go to Icon World, expect Assassin to probably be in the mix. If he's not in there, maybe Victorious is bringing out something special that we haven't seen yet. A lot of questions still to be answered, and I think that's quite exciting.
And that's the thing, I mean, we knew the caliber of this matchup. We knew what it was going to be, and it's just delivered. Just right out the gate, absolutely delivered. Right from that opening fight on Control Center on Lijiang Tower, this has delivered on its promise of being a real clash of titans. And the best part is they're not done clashing. We have barely scratched the surface. We have got at least 3 more of those to go, if not 4, and I am kind of expecting this to go a full 5 one way or another.
Based on the way they've been trading, we can maybe expect them to trade maps as well as trading fights. Control is one thing, so you're kind of right in the regards of what do we now see on the payload-oriented maps or the other objective types? Assault, Hybrid, Escort, what kind of happens here? Does something suddenly change? Because part of the strengths and weaknesses of these teams are when you look at the team of EXL, rather, I'm going to start with Monster Shield here. They look like a very flexible team. Of the 6 members that they're running, Perfect and Crazy, DPS pools right now are very demanding, and between the two of them, they kind of play everything. But on the other hand, you have EXL who have a bigger roster for DPS players, a lot of strengths that they can change in and out. We're now starting to see other hero picks out of them, more of a GOAT-style composition this week around rather than in week 1. What more flexibility can we expect? And I feel like there's a lot more to go for both teams.
I absolutely do feel that. And I think nowhere actually was that better expressed, sort of the, if you will, struggle that Monster Shield have there. For the strength that does exist in that, the struggle was no more apparent than on Night Market, where they had to swap Crazy off the Pharah so that he could play a Brigitte, but they still wanted a Pharah, so Perfect had to change. And that's really tricky. You compare that to EXL, who had a change they needed to make. They needed to get a McCree in the mix. Boom, one person swaps, that's it, it's done. They go off the Tracer, they pick up the McCree, simple. They don't need to do a big reshuffle. The weakness, though, potentially comes in that if they're fully back-footed, if Monster Shield can put them in a situation where the 2 DPSs that EXL are running are not cut out for the composition that EXL are being forced to play because of what Monster Shield are doing, that is where they can put EXL in an uncomfortable position. It's a more kind of meta thing, but it's absolutely something they can take advantage of here.
The other thing that we haven't quite seen yet is we haven't had both teams really match each other with more of a similar type of composition. It feels like both teams have been running something slightly different to each other. So when we go to the other maps where you are more inclined, and speaking of next map, let's bring it up, it's going to be Eichenwald. No surprises there.
Yeah.
If you are Monster Shield, probably the good choice. When we start seeing more similar compositions, like both teams will be running a Widow, so who wins that duel? Is it going to be Yon1, who we know is very good? Or, you know, do Monster Shield have the edge there? We don't quite have that question answered when we go on to Genji play. When Assassin comes in, if Assassin comes in, is it going to be him and EXL? Or is it going to still be in the Monster Shield side of things? Because both teams have had some pretty good successes, so need those questions answered too.
And speaking of, slightly longer gap between those two maps is a pretty clear sign that there has been a substitution. We'll get it confirmed in a moment, but my assumption would be, because it's Eichenwald, I think we will see Assassin come in for EXL here over Victorious. Yon1 does seem to be their kind of anchor DPS, as you put it. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see Assassin for the sake of that Genji play. Or maybe
Agnes comes in.
Yeah, maybe we'll see something else altogether. So I'm curious. I'm very curious to see what they do here, because this will absolutely be reactionary. They'll go, okay, this is the map, therefore we want this DPS duo because we're most likely going to play this comp, this comp, this comp. If Monster Shield kind of predicted that, then they have the advantage going into this.
The other thing is, and I wasn't quite sure about the meta when we first came into it, 1.24, double sniper meta was going to be Hanzo and Widow dominated. We're now starting to see, okay, well, you know what?
Apparently not.
The other team's running a Widow, we can choose not to. That's kind of maybe acceptable. You're also starting to see, especially from what Blank have been running lately, a lot more Orisa than either Reinhardt or Winston. So do these two teams kind of go in that direction as well? Could be.
I'm curious. In general, I am curious. And what better place to have my curiosity slaked and satisfied?
Assassin's in.
There we go. Called it. He's currently hovering the Pharah, though, which is interesting. We were just talking about the Genji, but certainly his Pharah is nothing to be balked at either. I want to talk about a bit of an unsung hero thing, just by the way, while we're still in this setup phase, because we have actually talked a lot about EXL's DPS situation, because it's very noticeable, because it defines a lot of how they play. But I have to say, in terms of the on-the-map gameplay, it is really Melon and Gabushi that shine for me in this team. Oh, that is sick.
Yep.
Nicely done. That right there, that is team cohesion.
Give them the map win.
That's it. EXL, forfeit. I've never seen something that slick.
You gotta
Lee J gone. Now he's trying to get it back. No, it's all, you ruined it.
I will say, based on roster set, because we were talking about substitutions, Monster Shield, to my memory, were running Luke a little bit more last week. This week, running a Nev.
Yeah, that is a good note. A good note indeed.
And on that note,
it's going to be double. Yeah, on that note,
both teams are going to play the same thing. So
exactly.
Now we
get it. We get it. I was just going to say that.
And there's no double sniper to be seen.
On that note, both teams are playing the same note. It's not harmonious.
I gotta say,
it's double tracked. Oh, going for the dogfight, and Assassin catches Crazy. That's the strength of the guy. This opens up that back line, and they are not hesitating. So much pressure on Lee J gone. Not going to let them back up for free. Going to waste as much of Monster Shield's time as possible.
You see the speed out from both teams here. This is kind of the difference when you see these so well-coordinated top Korean teams, at least in this region at the moment. You see how fast the teams will react to things, get a kill, immediately try and convert into more. The other team is immediately backing off so quickly, doesn't give away a kill, and just, again, just blow for blow.
And there's the resets as well, the speed at which these two teams reset. Doesn't matter which of these teams comes out the top. It's something that every team in this tournament is going to have to match. Oh, Assassin does it twice. So quick as well. 2 shots on Crazy, and he's dead.
This man is an air-to-air machine so far. Monster Shield have not been off to a good start. 1 minute down, 1 minute 15 down. In fact, get out of here, Crazy.
call him the Red Baron for all these dogfight kills he's scoring.
Monster Shield are probably going to go Widow at some point. I don't think Crazy's going to come back much longer. There he goes. Not quite the Widow, but it's definitely something different.
Man, that's when you know you've been beat. This is why we wanted to see this matched composition situation between these two teams.
Oh,
and immediately off the back of that, yeah, counter trades coming in. They're starting to get some work done. Assassin, though, with this rocket barrage. No, AshVK has found him. Yom1 only with the one trade back. It is a big one. But by the time Monster Shield are marching on this point, Lee Jae Gon will be close enough to rejoining them. Beppo is still here, coming up on a Transcendence as well. Monster Shield, no, Beppo goes down. They're going to need to get Lee Jae Gon in for a res.
And this is where you start to see EXL kind of don't have the discipline. They went a little bit too far forward, dropped their tank players. Now they're kind of trying to stem the bleeding here, trying to get back control of this point. They do kind of have that currently, but they need all of their members back, and they need to make sure Monster Shield also do not have time to regroup. With that kill to perfect, it should put Monster Shield back in the sport.
And the saving grace for EXL was that they were so far forward with how they were pressuring Monster Shield that they had a lot of space to fall back to when they started losing members. And they killed the exact right members at the exact right times. Yeah, finally the Widow's going to come out from perfect. They need to get Assassin out of the air.
I think at least a minute and 30 seconds too late here, and you can start to see even the pressure onto the ground. Very difficult for Perfect to do his job. F-Tanks are sort of in his vicinity.
There's the opening. Yeah, the res on Enev, and they had a bit of an advantage for a moment. GableShe finally gets finished off. Yeah, the Blade doing the work. Melon, despite wasting a lot of Monster Shield's time with that Primal Rage, unfortunately didn't close out kills, and now Monster Shield have started to get themselves in on the point, covering their approach as well. They're set up. EXL may want to come in and challenge this, but Monster Shield, I think they'll be able to cap it.
That was a reasonably slow approach that Monster Shield took over there. This is a very interesting last-minute defense. Maybe a mistake coming out from EXL. Yeah. They just kind of came in, nothing really prepared, didn't have any big ultimates. It's not like they had a Primal Rage, a Dragon Blade, or something, maybe a clutch Pulse Bomb.
Punish.
They just walked right in there, fed players, and exactly right, the Punish now coming through, losing Chloe late. This is going to be a full reset and a lot of progress for MSK.
And, I mean, that's the margins, right? It was the fact that Medic died so late that he wasn't quite back in time, couldn't follow GableShe over as he flew in, plus the split-second difference between GableShe and Melon meant by the time Melon landed, GableShe was already demech'd and dead. Slight hiccup from EXL, unusual, and Monster Shield off the back of it have an ultimate advantage.
Now we get to see the other matchup that I really wanted to see personally, Yom1 versus Perfect, which Widowmaker gets the better of the other one. So we did see a couple of other changes as well. Crazy now onto the Brigida, Assassin onto the Hanzo.
And they are starting to whittle away at EXL's ultimates. GableShe will likely commit a self-destruct here to preserve his mech. No, able to keep it. Barely having enough health to hold on. At any rate, though, he had to back up. That's given Monster Shield space. Chloe did also get dove. There's a good catch on Assassin as Enev goes forward with the Primal Rage, going to absolutely beat apart this team. They lose a couple of members, but they've had that cart movement. That was what they were really after here. They're still getting it, by the way. EXL, even though they're starting to turn the fight around, are only just now diving back to the cart.
Yom1's got some space to work with here, so the cart has been stopped finally. There was some decent progress, but EXL are going to pick up this fight win here, are going to force MSK back to their base, reapproach this next fight, do have double support ultimates available, but importantly, it's EXL that get the position back. That's what they need defensively.
Now they've got some good tools at their disposal. This Dragon Strike coming up is going to have to be pretty big for them, because what they're going to be coming up against is all the strong defensive tools on the side of Monster Shield. I'm very much expecting them to be able to get some ground with this rally here.
And Crazy loves D-Mech, as he's going to call that rally in as well. Some more ultimates to play with, but we're really waiting to see exactly where this Dragon Strike comes down. This is going to be a defining factor. Not a lot of time left. Less than 1 minute for MSK, as you do see a little bit of a long flank.
Straight through to try and cut up through the middle of the team, but not quite finding its mark as MSKR go diving onto the other side of the upper bridge there. EXL now having to move back, make some space for their snipers so that they can get the work done, but not going to work. The dive from MSKR starts to pressure that back line. The counter from EXL taking its time, not quite getting the connection just yet. Melon, if he gets in trouble, he's got a Primal Rage. Going to pop it now, try and get some work done. Lee Jae Gon going to float slowly off that ledge if no one comes to save him. but it's Assassin and Yomwan being the casualties here as Melon's Primal Rage runs out. MSKR with momentum on their side.
We're not seeing any value out of these EXL ultimates. They now bled themselves dry. Monster Korea still have 2 tank ultimates, and they're getting kills without having to use them right now. Overtime does come into effect, but the card is in motion, and we're not seeing EXL coming to this defense in time.
Finally getting on top of it, and already Melon is dead. She's going to follow him. And once again, it's the situation where unfortunately they couldn't quite get in at the same time as the supports. The tanks had to dive into contest. MSKR get the cap, and again, they're going to get some momentum back off it. They get to charge up more ultimates. They get to move forward like this and create space. They've already had another rally.
And the second time now, off of A, off of B, we're seeing EXL come in just a little bit too late. Last minute defense, didn't quite have the ultimates, didn't quite have the comeback potential. Fed a lot of ultimates, unfortunately lost a lot of momentum. Now changing compositions, they got no one else to play with again.
I mean, it's happened in overtime for both of those, but I mean, they've got the momentum. That's what counts. Even if it takes overtime again, and it might not even need that though. Look at that, so far forward from Inev. I want to see him stick around. He's trying to predict which side they're going to come out of because he's got a Primal Rage as well. They've got to get on it. They can't because of the Primal Rage. Excellently played by Inev there. Very smart. No one able to come out to that payload. Didn't have to wait until overtime as well, which could be a bit of a saving grace if this goes all the way to time bank. That was close to the end.
EXL were looking for initiative, right? So close to getting the next Dragon Strike out of there from Assassin, but just a little bit too far off. If he had that, maybe he shoots it at the cart. Maybe that's the opening that allows EXL back onto the point. But when you look at that B defense, especially at the end with the overtime, too keen to get onto the defense, lost too many members, and the reason that's important is because they wanted to change onto Zaya Ryan. That's important. You do want to change there for the third point. That's a normal thing that teams will do. In fact, Monster Shield Korea, if they had been fully white, they'd be going Ryan Zaya as well. The problem is, because they got reset so late and the cart was already through, their Ryan Zaya composition wasn't even in position to defend. They got walked over. Monster Shield took the C point far too easily. What could have been and realistically should have been a full hold on C for EXL was not.
And that was interesting, top to bottom, because both point defenses went all the way to overtime. It felt like there was the opportunity for EXL to full hold eventually on A, or maybe then also do it on B, but in both of those situations, Monster Shield, not only did they come alive at that perfect moment, they'd also set themselves up to do so. They put in the groundwork so that when they were at that juncture, everything was set up for the dominoes to fall. They didn't just go in at the last minute and cross their fingers. They played smart.
I would say not so much on B to expect the full hold. Most of B was kind of in Monster Shield's favor there. They had most of the momentum, most of the initiative, but for EXL, had they not just died all on the cart for their B defense, I think they would have set up fine on C. But alas, that is in the past. EXL on attack now. They have to match or even get a better time. 45 seconds is what MSK are finished with. EXL got to do better.
And it does feel in general, EXL get better picks, but Monster Shield get a lot more out of their ultimates. That's one thing that I'm noticing is a big difference. EXL, they're not getting those 3-man self-destructs like what Ashby K got on point C. They're not getting those 2-man Dragon Blades. What they are getting, though, is individual frags, as one is maybe just about to come through on Inev. No, he's able to pull back.
We'll have to see if that comes true, right, for this second part of this icon wall map, because we have seen, at least in my opinion, some smarter decision-making overall from Monster Shield. And now we were saying before EXL get better picks. Currently, Monster Shield got the better picks.
Yeah, I guess I better just take off my shoes and socks and put my foot in my mouth. MSKR are able to get that one out there, and EJ Gon will probably just, yeah, there we go. Commit a res onto Beppo, keep him in the fight. EXL have to reset.
We are seeing a lot more of this Genji Widow composition is what's going to give Monster Shield a lot of flexibility in terms of how they want to handle situations. Perfect onto the Widow is actually a really good selection here because they know Assassin is a good fire player. They felt that personally, so now really challenging him in skies, or at least putting pressure on him with the Widow is important.
Yeah, I mean, this is what worked. Missed one because Assassin popped the jet right at that second, and then Perfect gets the immediate subsequent shot. The perfect shot. Self-destruct up into the skies, no mileage, and that medic in trouble pulls back. Yom1 dying to the mech recall. Never get tired of seeing that. And now MSKR nicely built up on their defense. EXL, they're going to have to start banking up and committing ultimates.
I do want to say Monster Shield also struggled on their A offense as well. So both teams having a very good time defensively. That's been a perk of them on sort of both sides when they've had that chance to defend. EXL have to change up their strategy. So Assassin and Yom1 both going to change up into a Widow Genji comp as well. So both teams just want to match each other player for player, hero for hero.
Once again, love it. Never get tired of it. I'm looking forward to seeing Assassin's Genji, but I'm not going to see it for very long. He's going to get headshot and crazy, going very deep on the dive, very committed there.
Real optimistic.
Yeah, a bit too deep, unfortunately. He knew that he was a dead man. He was already taking damage. He figured might as well try and get some kills. So good mitigation from EXL to stop that.
I think that's dangerous because now he's having to come back from spawn while that's happening.
Dead. That's a big ultimate off the table. Unfortunately, the Transcendence not being there. Assassin does get one back, but it's maybe too little too late as the tank's getting the work done. They popped Medic a while ago. MSKR, they're a little bit on the back foot here in one regard, but also EXL are a little bit scattered here.
So you are now getting into the sort of stage where you feel like the possibility of a full hold is certainly there for Monster Shield Korea. You wouldn't want to be in that position as EXL. Similarly, though, we've seen EXL nearly full hold Monster Shield Korea on this A point. So during an overtime push, in fact, even during this current push, you might see EXL take it.
And that's rough for Inev because he had a Primal Rage that could have otherwise kept him alive. Trading Mercy for Mercy there is actually quite
perfect.
Good. Yeah, there we go, coming alive. Never mind the Mercy trades. EXL, even with this closer respawn, they're not getting enough kills at the right times. They're losing some members, but they're not able to keep the remainders alive for those respawners to come in.
Look at this. Both Mercy players have gone into Luciano. These guys, they want to stick to it. They want to, okay, they have swapped back. So Medic did want to get back to the point a little bit quicker, but now swapping back. Chloe going to go onto the Brigida. Final chance now from EXL, and they don't have ultimates. Monster Shield do. This starts to feel like a really good chance of a full hold.
And it's just those few tools. Inev, yeah, this time he will be able to pop that Primal Rage. Gableshee up with the self-destruct, but Yom1's been picked by Crazy on that dive. Assassin coming up on a blade, needs to make it work. Did get Beppo. Lee J got in trouble. He found Perfect. Yeah, he's going deep, finds Crazy. Now back to the point, slicing away at the mech. They should be able to pop AshVK out of that one, go full can opener on him, and now to destroy the soup inside. That's one way to do it. Doesn't quite close up on AshVK, but the point will go the way of EXL here. MSKR, those kills coming in too late for them to get a last-minute contest like what EXL did. Very tight for time, but they're underway now, EXL.
Much like Assassin, I too am a soup connoisseur, and EXL going to be able to push through finally onto this B point in overtime, just like Monster Shield Korea. Both teams, even the way they play, even in terms of the pacing here, kind of just fail for most of that A point, get it through towards the end, but where they get onto this B point is going to make the difference because we talked about Monster Shield when they were attacking having most of the advantage, EXL so far having a slow start on B.
They need to start getting some kills here, or at least really forcing Monster Shield out of this position, because right now, Monster Shield are just kind of...
Yom1 is not having a good day.
Wasting EXL's time for free.
Hitting the res from Medic, but so far it's been mostly perfect, man. This guy's been controlling the pace of this game for some time now. Even pushing his scenarios, getting a triple kill.
Oh! Crazy going down there. That's an opening. That's a really big opening. Assassin goes deep onto Beppo, who does not commit the Transcendence. Finds Lee Jae Gong as well, and one man alone just kind of cracks it open once again. Smart of AshVK to not commit a self-destruct there. The fight was already lost, but man, Crazy dying mid-Dragon Blade and Beppo dying with the Transcendence, that's tough.
So this is where we see Yom1 have some advantage over his counterpart Perfect, who had to go back to spawn, respawning and regrouping with the rest of Monster Shield. Yom1 should have the superior angle, as Assassin also has his own superior angle to use with the blade, so if he chooses to use it.
That jump was maybe a touch too quick from EXL, coming in maybe too early. They weren't able to get a good angle for Assassin, but they haven't lost members yet. And they are keeping Monster Shield largely off the card. There's a point now where they're going to have to start getting kills, though. Crazy is a good start, but there's the tools still here for Monster Shield Korea to stall that one out. Those tools do not exist for the likes of Melon, Gebushi, Medic, and Chloe. So, Rez on to Melon. They're in a bit of recovery mode here, EXL. They need to get some kills through. Inev down as the Primal Rages run out. AshVK, again, no self-destruct. And Beppo had no good time to commit a Transcendence. So, EXL keep the momentum going.
And Perfect has been locked up this entire time. One of the clutch players for Monster Shield, and Crazy onto the Brigitte isn't going to be your clutch player. He's supporting right now, so we need to see Perfect unleash. But as long as EXL can lock him inside here, I don't see EXL really giving up this cap.
I like that from Assassin. Sitting by the door, pulls out the blade, knows that anyone coming through has to get past it. AshVK, though, trades it back. Medica's big off that as well. It means no reses for EXL. They're on hard mode now. Monster Shield Korea, they have the closer spawn, but they are lacking in members. AshVK trying to hold down the fort alone with Beppo. Gets demech'd, loses his one support, but on the other side of that is just Gebushi, and Lee Jae-gon was able to get back sooner. So did Crazy, and that closer respawn pays off for Monster Shield. That clutch self-destruct from AshVK threw a massive spanner in the works of what was otherwise looking to be a successful fight, and with it, they're going to close out Eichenwalde and tie up the series.
It looked like such a convincing fight when what should have been a convincing fight when for EXL there. Huge string of kills coming out from Assassin, very similar to what we're seeing here. This is the clutch play from Perfect as spoken about earlier, the triple headshot while the rest of his members were going down. A lot of these kind of things happening, particularly on the A point. When we look at the A point, I feel like that's where the defining moments really happen for both teams. For Monster Shield's defense, it was there, or rather for EXL's defense, it was how insanely good Assassin was in the air-to-air battles against the other Pharaoh on the other side. And then when we look at sort of the other way around, it was Perfect on the defense, not just on A, but throughout the entire thing as the Widowmaker, just completely shutting down all opportunity on the side of EXL. And ultimately, well, they get one back.
I have to say,